Hello everybody, Darren here, and welcome back to episode 43 in my second Let's Play series for Anno 1800. In the last episode, we completed the construction of the Iron Tower, which will henceforth be known as the Iron Schlong, of course. We then also met all of the needs of our tourists, maxing out several of our hotels, but there is still, of course, much work to be done. We have recipes to unlock, some quests still to do, and I always have my overarching goal of reaching about 75,000 population so that we may complete the design I have currently for the palace. Now, eagle-eyed viewers will notice as we spin around the Iron Schlong that, that's never going to get old for me, by the way, that it's changed quite considerably, and a lot of new ornaments being placed around, the layouts have changed, and of course, I have a lovely time-lapse to introduce you to how all of that came to be. But before I jump into that, the first thing I want to mention is this video should be now in 1440p resolution. That's up from 1080p as it was before. I do not yet have my new PC, but my new monitors arrived, and I decided to hook them up, and to my surprise, the game actually runs pretty much exactly how it did before. Which means it's, you know, any bit of lag I'm probably getting is most likely CPU bound, not GPU bound. But either way, new PC gets here in a few days. I'll let you know when I have it. But this is almost like a mini preview of 1440p content. Basically, going forward, it'll probably look like this. It should just run a bit smoother when it starts getting a little bit taxing in certain places and at certain times. Other than that, I missed an episode. I just want to apologize for that. Basically, sometimes, I don't know if it's just me getting in my own head or whatever, but sometimes I feel like the episodes just aren't... I've never uploaded one where I'm not happy with it, but sometimes I record them and I feel like they're not good, or it's boring, or it's slow and nothing really happens, and I'm like, you know what, that just wasn't up to standard. And part of that was because I spent a really long time redesigning this area, and then by the end of it I was like, you know, I'm not happy with it. I just didn't think it looked very good. And then I did the episode, and essentially I was trying to buy out Arthur's Island here, and I actually successfully bought it out. And I successfully bought it out, and I gave him a non-aggression pact so he couldn't attack me, and I started building back up his reputation. It was totally fine, it was all working as planned, but he just came along and attacked Benti, and Benti actually resettled it. Totally worked perfect, and then he just came along and took it out again. Because all she did was leave it with just a warehouse for like 15 minutes, and I had my pirate fleet waiting, but they were on cooldown, and I couldn't do anything, so I was just like, yeah, this is just a massive waste of time, that episode, so unfortunately, it is lost to time. Oh, that's another thing, actually, the time-lapse I had in place for that episode, part of it was, I deleted the file, so even the time-lapse wasn't complete. So I think it's just better, sometimes you just have a bad day, and, you know, I just made the call that I think it's better to upload quality content than something that I consider filler. Because you have to think of it like, some people might watch that and then never watch the next one. I'd rather people always watch the next one, feel fulfilled and entertained, and want to see the next one, you know? That's at least the idea. Alright, so enough dilly-dallying. I'll explain this whole setup after the time-lapse. And talk about, maybe have a bit more of a zoom in and show you some more of the details, maybe even have a tiny walkabout really quickly, and then we'll get back to the gameplay. Alright, let's begin the time-lapse. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another time-lapse, a long overdue time-lapse actually. We haven't had one for a few episodes, and this one has got kind of an interesting backstory. It's actually slightly done in a different style than I've done one before, and let me explain. Of course, we had a failed episode, a scrapped episode that I just thought wasn't that good, and that contained a time-lapse of this area that I also felt like wasn't that good. I just wasn't really happy with the layout and the outcome of it. So what I decided to do was, rather than record potentially hours of trial and error of me redesigning street after street, moving buildings, the members club, lots of ornaments and town halls, instead of going through all that, I would do that all in my own time. It took me several hours until I was really happy with the end result, and then I took a bunch of screenshots, went back to the old save of where the last episode ended, and then built it out here, recorded for a time-lapse. And this way, you don't see any of the trial and error, which can be kind of interesting, but it does mean I get to keep my camera kind of still. You get to just see it evolve from what it was to where it's going to be, rather than me looking at one particular area, going over it several times, and so on and so forth. So hopefully, in some ways, it's better because of that. I know some people maybe like to see the creative process, but I can always tell you roughly what I was thinking and what I was doing. Largely speaking, guys, we're just moving buildings. So it's not going to be that crazy as if we were building out a completely new area. But yeah, so it's just a bit different in that regard. So when you see me laying out things like this, that corner, those corners right there, it's like, that's oddly specific, you know? It's because I know what I was going to put there eventually, because I've already mapped everything out. So just think of it that way. So essentially, the main idea behind this is, or that I ended up settling on, let's say, is that ultimately beauty is going to win out the day over efficiency for me. I'm sorry to say to many people out there. And that means that a lot of these investor households are going to move out of this district completely, because I need the space to add things like plazas and restaurants and these areas around the restaurants and stuff like that. So a lot of houses end up getting moved, and I'll talk about it after the time lapse, but you know, eventually I plan on building out the kind of the other side of the river, essentially, right? And having a city there. And that's actually probably where the bigger part of the investor district's going to be, because eventually that's going to be the high life, tall buildings, all of that stuff. But anyway, so I've slightly moved the Iron Tower, or the Iron Schlong, over a little bit to the left here. And I have basically a gap of about 2 tiles either side of it, except for the top bit. That has a gap of 3. And that was just to kind of get the roads to line up correctly with a bridge that goes over that river there. Then I decided to put in, normally we had 4 hotels up here. I've decided to increase it to 6 and just wrap them around the tower. You know, I think that's a fairly common thing to do. I mean, I haven't really seen anyone do it. I'm sure people do though, but I mean, like, it's probably one of the first things you think of is wrapping the hotels around. So it's a pretty basic idea, but I think with the extra ornament space, I make it work, and then you'll see me add some boulevards and things for people to walk around. So I'm actually really happy with that kind of clamshell hotel look to it. So the top part is reserved for kind of restaurants and things, which we'll get to in a moment. So this area here is actually a lookout point. So at the top of the World's Fair, there is actually about 2 or 3 tiles worth of space, give or take. And as per a lot of people's suggestions and comments, I decided to add in several lookout points where people can sit up and use their telescopes to see what's going on. And then a souvenir shop, some trees and things like that. Re-wall, I've put down a new wall all across the place, because of course with the new forest painting tool, you can also change the grass type that this fenced wall kind of has as its base. So that now blends in with the ground a lot better. So it was really good to just basically replace it. Then inside, in and around these town halls, these are sort of like little commercial centers and places where people can go eat. Their town hall is there, as well as maybe some entertainment or whatever it might be. So there's 2 of these in this investor plateau. I'm just adding more lookout points here. Again, the grass, you know, blends kind of a little bit more nicely, not perfect, but a little bit more nicely with the ground below it, and we can paint trees around it to kind of cover up any of those harsh edges and harsh lines. At the back of the members club, of course, they have a little lookout point. That's what the kind of weird rectangular fencing was for. It's kind of an extension of the lookout point, and the fence ends with that gap to give space for the telescope, I guess, to line up between them. Otherwise, it would have been just pointing at a fence. The members club has shrunken a little bit from before. There's no big garden at the back of it, but I wanted to keep the restaurant tables and things like that. Adding in a couple of fountains either side of the main promenade just to complement it, a little bit of gap of space there. The bank now has its own sort of mini waiting area outside with some statues and ornaments around it. And then, of course, at the front, I've got telephone boxes for people to make the important calls. And then a couple of billboards, which I like to think are bought out by the anarchists and the Anno Union, kind of sticking it to the man in a way. Then, of course, over here on the other side, it's the opposite side where we have, again, another town hall, another sort of restaurant or bar. Actually, I think it's a cafe. And then, again, just matching the sort of ornaments to the actual kind of canopies that are within the thing itself. They each have a bus stop. They then have some tiling and things to kind of dress up the set for the particular town hall, as it were. Now, I thought at first maybe it was a bit odd having a town hall next to a restaurant, but I actually think it works pretty well. Let me know. I'm eager to see what you guys think. I know thematically, it's like, does that really? I mean, I've never really seen a town hall in person, except when I was in Spain before. And when I was in Spain, in a particularly small town, there's this lovely ornate town hall. Right across from it was a church, and right across from that was just littered with restaurants. Now, obviously, that was like a tourist trap, but so is this. So I actually think that's kind of where I drew my inspiration from, in a way. And also the fact that they're both augmenting buildings, right, that affect the things around them. It kind of makes sense to put them together. So that's kind of why I did it. Now, I actually explained this area here in detail in the episode itself, so thinking about it, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I could have talked about it here. But essentially, the Empire Tower itself, the 4 corners of it are actually all different. Some of them have restaurants on it. Some have, like, kind of little shows going on. Some are just kind of blank. And largely speaking, I tried to complement whatever, it was in front of by placing ornaments that match it. So, you know, where there's extra dining chairs, there's a drink stand, there's extra drinks tables and things like that. There's an area for kids, balloon stand, kind of a merry-go-round. There's other restaurants, the Pizzeria on the right side, complementing the actual restaurant that's within the Iron Tower itself. And then, of course, always dotting the little trees around. The Iron Tower kiosks are placed at the front of the larger steps, because, of course, the top and bottom have these really wide steps. They're sort of like an entrance almost, and then the sides have smaller ones. So I kind of consider those the entrances, and that's where the souvenir shop is and the kiosks. Then wrapping around the hotels, we have a nice lovely boulevard. And just to break it up, I have some areas where it kind of has a bit of a gap between it and the road, and that way we can put in some extra things. So nice boulevard extending all the way down to the various restaurants. This is a restaurant here, of course, over from the nice grand warehouse as well. Laying out this sort of riverside promenade at the back of the hotels here. Lots of cherry blossom trees. This bus stop in particular has multiple baggage and luggage wrapped around it, because obviously it's just for the hotel, really. Then I just dotted a lot of the cherry blossom trees that have the grass base, and then kind of covered them up as best as I could with just regular trees. And they really look nice, I think, interspersed amongst the regular trees. So I'm quite happy with how that's turned out. Something I've been meaning to do, I didn't actually get to, is to go into the boulevards and remove a lot of the benches. They get automatically placed sometimes, and it's nicer to space them out. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I actually go in more in depth and zoom in on everything during the episode, so I'm really eager to see what people think of the final result. Alright, so that is it for the Iron Schlong and its surroundings, as well as the new and improved Investor Plateau 2.0, if you will. And I'm actually really happy with how this has turned out. Compared to how I had it before, it was kind of a lot more rigid, a lot of straight lines. It had multiple power plants to kind of feed the area. I just wasn't too happy with it. So I'm just much happier with this area in general. Now, I actually think power is a little bit deficient over on this side, and I'm pretty sure if I just move this power plant up, I can actually feed that area and the entire place. Because obviously I put a power plant all the way up here, but it obviously, to me, it just makes more sense having it next to the World's Fair. So I went with aesthetics over efficiency on this one, just to clarify, you know. But I am really happy with how it's turned out, and not only that, I don't think it's ever going to change now. I think it's pretty much done. The only few things that will change are, I need to change some of the aesthetics for certain buildings, you know, by changing the kind of layout and things like that. So that's not fully done yet. I'd have to go through that. I want to meticulously go through different streets and make sure they all have their little entrances like this, you know, the way I actually make sure that things line up like that. We need, like, the same kind of thing to happen over on that side. So there's all little minor details here and there that need to be fixed, so that if you ever do get down on the ground and you walk around, everything needs to make sense. That's the plan anyway. So, of course, before I actually take the time to go through this area and have a look at things a bit more in detail, which I'd like to do, because obviously during a time-lapse you get to see it being built, but you don't really get that zoomed-in effect. And of course, I'm sure I've mentioned... Oh, by the way, actually, I'm jumping all over the place, but I did say that this area is probably never going to change, and that's because I obviously don't know with the next DLC and update really what's coming. We know that it's going to be something to do with building high-rises for investors and maybe other buildings too. But I largely plan on doing that out here, and probably in the next episode or the one after, I'll do another time-lapse of designing out this area. I think we can actually fit a few more investors in, so I'm probably going to build... I worked it out in the statistics. I think somewhere along the lines of 40 more investors is what I can handle in terms of a lot of our goods. Because you'll notice we're overproducing champagne. We're overproducing cigars. Chocolate by quite a lot. You know, 18 to 11. Definitely these are really low. Now we do, the things that are low typically are being brought in by Docklands, but stuff like gramophones, steam carriages, which look low, they actually aren't. I have that building turned off again for no reason, actually. Let's turn that back on.
Start the machines.
Exactly, start the machines. So yeah, basically, just really quickly, if we have a look through some of those engineer and investor goods. I should just toggle consumer goods. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. Right, there we go. So we can see steam carriages, you know, is at 4 to 1. Gramophones, 9 to 4. Chocolate, 18 to 11. Cigars. And these are all investor things, right? So I was like, oh, right, we can definitely squeeze in much more investors if we really want to. Now, there are a few things I'm low on. It's mostly the penny farthings and then the jewelry. Coffee is actually fine. I need to assign some more ships to the coffee route. And I'm producing ships to do that. Yeah, just add another one to this. Alright, cool. I'm going to be doing that throughout. Basically, I need about 4 more ships just to fix a lot of the issues with a lot of different things. Anyways, so before I have a look at things more in detail, we actually have to send off a expedition. And that's because this restaurant, this bar here, I want to make glog. And to make glog, we need a successful expedition to the Arctic. So we might as well get that going now. And then I'll show you the effects and stuff like that later. So let's see. We'll hop out to the world map. Basically see if we have one. We do. A zoological expedition up here. A polar zoological expedition. So we'll add our terror. And we'll see what else we can add on. Hunting is something we need. So I'll throw her in. Throw that in. Boop, boop. So what do we have here? This is 35 and that is 40 and 20 for hunting. A little bit of crafting in there as well. Hunting and force. Throw him in as well. Why not? Let's see what other items we could get. Naval power, highly likely, which we get from him, 55. I'll throw in another one then.
Don't want a dead man's chest.
Naval power, force, and diplomacy. Navigation, force, and naval power, seeing as that's both needed. He's pretty good. Captain Smith, Titan of the Sea. Get in there, son. What else? Maybe just some rations, I guess. People say... I've been adding rum a lot, but I feel like people were like, no, 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 you gotta add something else that's even better. I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember, I'm so sorry. Interesting, shampoo now can be added, obviously. Provides medicine 15. Rum provides medicine 15 as well.
I've a part for you in my tragedy.
Stephen MacLeod, Geological Surveyor. I actually feel like I might have him already, but in case we don't, why not do a little quest for Anne Harlow? Take our pirate fleet out. Could be fun. Yeah, let's just go with that. I'm sure it's fine. Sorry if you're screaming at the screen that I should add something. Get over it. It's not going to happen.
Very brave.
Yeah, so what do you want me to do? Love, as they say in Britain. An abuse of privilege. Anne Harlow is fed up with Lord Spillikins' entitled abuse of power. She'd like you to put him in his place.
Fleet ready?
I'd be happy to.
Under attack.
He's getting just... My Caesar is going to take him out, actually.
Steelsman.
Alright, easy peasy. Didn't need to move the fleet at all. They can stay where they are. They're kind of protecting Benty's Island right now.
New orders?
Okay, bring it to her. Perfect. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the details of the city. So the first place to look at is probably, no pun intended, the lookout point. And that was a suggested feature from several commenters and viewers. And I think it's a great idea. It's a shame that the lookout points themselves have the base, you know, of the clay tiles, or the, what is it, the white paving, I suppose. Obviously, it looks quite nice. It's just a shame that we couldn't put grass under there, so it really does fit in with the edges of cliffs and stuff, which is what the suggestion was to add these places throughout the several like cliffs that we have in our island. Of course, the Artisan Cliffs is, again, another good area for a lookout point there. So it looks quite nice. It's actually pretty cool. We'll get down on the ground in a second, but you can actually see the other islands from here, which is pretty cool. And, yeah, we'll have a look at it in a moment, but from the other lookout points, you can actually see the prison, like Eli Bleakworth's prison and Madame Gehenna's. So we've also got souvenirs here, because I feel like if they are coming out this way, you know, they'd be trying to flog all sorts of stuff for the people coming out of the World's Fair. We have a street map to let them know that they're going the complete wrong way. I actually like to think that this be a map of the islands or something like that, you know?
The thrill of discovering new horizons.
Oh, that is... I'm ready to hand in that quest, yes.
Constructed.
You may have heard it. I actually will have to take a mini pause break here, but let me just actually really quickly jump down. Basically, my girlfriend Rosie has ordered pizza at a local food truck, and you pre-order by calling them, and our time is now, it seems. So I'm getting a call much earlier than expected. So I'll have a break during this. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so you actually can't stand up on this, which is a bit of a shame, but we can see from here, obviously their lookout, they could kind of see like the island, they can see lots of the ships going by, so I do really love this area. I think it looks really, really nice now. Even close up. And then, of course, we have our little souvenir section selling lots of... What are they selling? Oh, they're selling iron schlongs in all different sizes. She's loving it. And so is he. They're loving it. They're loving those iron schlongs. So yeah, really quickly, I'll just also show one of the other look at areas. So I actually didn't mean for that to connect that way, but it's kind of fine, I suppose. So from a kind of a mini distance, the grass blends a lot better now. It's not perfect. You can still see kind of lines and stuff like that, but you can now change the bottom color of the grass. By default, it would have been like that, but now you can kind of blend it with the ground below to a lighter variant. And yeah, let's take a little look and see what they've got as their view. So they just have a big view of the coastline. Yeah, they can see the prison island, which is pretty cool. And they can actually see Madame Kahina's over there as well. Let's just take a big jump. It's really cool the way you can see them. And I got such a lucky roll when I started this campaign. The fact that we have Archibald, Eli, and Madame Kahina all like within view. Basically all just straight over there. I feel like they'd normally be in fog, wouldn't they? But they're not in fog at the moment. Is it just because of the time of day? It might be. Anyways, yeah, so I'm going to have to take a mini break here. I'll be back. Hopefully it'll be seamless for you. And then we'll take a quicker look at, or a closer look at some of these areas, advance our expedition, and then fix some of the production chains, because we're running out of a few little things here and there that we need to kind of touch up on. All right, back in a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. I have had my pizza. I am well fed. It was a hot and spicy, I'll have you know. I'll throw up a picture of it, actually. I took a picture. And it's really nice, actually. It comes from these little wood-fired... It's like a proper wood-fire oven, but it's inside a kind of a food truck. And they're really, really nice. Anyways, so we had left off. We have the expedition heading towards the Arctic, and that is so that we can get the recipe for glog. So I thought we could just have a quick look at the recipe that I want to obtain. Obviously, it'd be nice to get every recipe anyway, but this one's particularly good for investors because it gives you a negative 10% consumption rate of champagne and coffee, and then a negative 20 for beer. Now, beer is not really going to affect them too much, but the other two would be pretty beneficial, especially if we stack it with some other things. So it says, thick, oleaginous clouds swirl up through this magnetic polar blend. Some report having seen...
to say all the great classics had two things in common. A back room at a local speakeasy, and a series of stiff drinks.
She says things that do things to me. Anyway, some report having seen the aurora borealis shortly upon drinking. Others, merely sensations of comfort and warmth, as well as temporary immunity to the push and pull of the sea. So that's what we're looking to get. So it looks like we need to bring in whale oil, but everything else I think should be fine here. Now, I think I had the route called delicacies, didn't I? Yeah. There she is, but no ship is on it right now. And people actually quite rightly said that you should probably just get the caribou meat from Docklands. It'd be a lot easier than trying to overproduce it and bring it back. And I think you're right. I'm just trying to think, though, if we would just take the let's see, can you bring in oil from Docklands? I kind of don't want to use this too much as a crutch. But let's just have a look to see, is it there? It's actually not. Now, I do overproduce whale oil, so it's actually totally fine to bring back. I was just more thinking, is there a better way to bring it back? So on my Arctic, those are the Arctic routes, the Arctic to the Old World. This is the exchange. We are already full up bringing stuff back. I feel like I have to add a brand new route then. It seems like overkill just for the one thing. I'm also thinking, like, do I want to make a double trip? But probably not. They really need this stuff as quick as pos. This actually seems like we're quite low on brass, thinking about it. I'll have to look at all that, I guess, in the future. But yeah, so let's just to get it moving, get it started, we could just add a ship that I have now to handle the delicacies and just bring back some whale oil. And I'll just make sure over at the port where we pick it up that we're not... we leave a bit of a reserve amount. So it's an intermediate, is it? I think whale oil. I don't know what it is. You don't consume it, but you use it in that raw material, agricultural. There we go. So there is a minimum stock already. I'm just gonna increase that just a little bit, 75. Now, speaking of setting limits and all of this, it was a hot topic down in the comments about why I set a weight to load, and it actually, as you can see, has caused big issues. Now, a couple things. It's not such a bad idea having a weight to load. Let me just drop that off. We need to pick up, what is it, windows, I think. I'll just deliver them to Malahide. Right, so let's get into this discussion. There's only one pier here, right? So we're getting backed up because this ship is going to wait until it fills up to 300. That's causing a backlog. That's not a good, I mean, that's not a good system if you've only got one pier. We'll fix that. We'll just build another one. But I think before I can build it, excuse me, artisans, I think it is. Yes. There. Can we build it right now? We can, actually. So let's just do that. Right, so this is should largely fix the problem because there's only one ship that uses this route that's on a wait to load order. So the others will be fine. Now I'm going to build multiple piers anyway. So let's find that route. That is Saltpeter. Malahide to Lusk. So we're picking up 300 Saltpeter and I'm telling it to wait until it gets it. And I've actually told it to wait to unload. That's the one I don't need on. I do want the one for waiting to goods on. Now, it's really swings and roundabouts, as they say, and it depends on the situation. But my general thought was this can be quite a busy port at times. Lots of ships come and go. Now, the load speed on much of the piers here is very fast, 26 tons per minute. You know, which means if you've got a ship of 300, what's that? It's, or it's not per minute, it's per second. Sorry, excuse me. It's going to do 12 seconds before it's completely loaded or unloaded its ship, right? Something like that. Sorry if my math is wrong. I know as well, by the way, in the last episode, I did horrible math when I added, what was it, 8 and 4 equals 14. I don't know how I came to that conclusion, but there you go. What are you missing? Oh yeah, they're missing grain. See, I actually fixed a lot of these things in the lost episode, and then obviously just reverted the save. But before I get distracted, yeah, so because this place can have high traffic, it actually doesn't typically, because I think I've ordered it in a fairly good way, and then also most ships have a quick loading time here anyway. But the idea is that because this is a drop-off point for almost every port, if we type in just the island name itself, Lusk, and then look at the number, oops, look at the number on each one of these tabs, 14, 4, 8, 2, 2, 2, and 1. That's how many ships are interacting with this island. That's a lot, right? That's, I don't know, 20, 25, something like that. It's a lot of ships. And you could easily get a backed up port if you're not managing it correctly. Now, obviously, this Docklands is largely going to handle things, but we're going to keep piling ships into here. There's going to be much more as we keep continuing to build, because there's lots of stuff produced here and lots of room for more. So my general idea, the reason I did it, I said...
Hold the crane.
Yeah, the reason I did it was I was basically thinking, like, in an ideal world, a ship will only arrive to this place when it's full of something and then drop it off to clear the traffic space for other ships to get here. Rather than it would only pick up 2 or 3 things, you know, a cargo hold of maybe 20, come here, drop, go back. And these islands are so close together, it's like, look, you don't need to do that. Just come here when you're full. Now, there is, obviously, it's tons per second, so it does take a little bit longer when you're there. But there's actually a bit of time in the ships getting lined up, and they block the ports from other people while they're doing that. So there's a reason for it. You know, I'm not one for efficiency, but I do genuinely think that it's better to bring a ship here when it's full than it is to bring ships in piecemeal, unless you really need the good, like... No, because it all works out the same. So that's basically my thought process on that. But you're right, I didn't have a second pier, so it's not a good idea to have a wait to load when you've only got one pier, because then everything just gets backed up, as you can see. But we're low on glass here. That's why I brought that. It's just to make a second pier and a third one. So now this place will be fine. So hopefully that is that put to bed. Now I also mentioned that something along the lines of, I don't know if I talked about it fully yet, but in future, once I'm kind of done, once we've hit that 75,000 population, I've built the extra bit of the palace, this series will start to slowly kind of wind down until the High Life comes out, and then it'll come back up. And what I mean by that is, what I plan on doing is doing 2 episodes per week, but on a given episode, I'll do like an entire island restructure / time-lapse, you know? So for instance, Rush, it's got all these fur hunting cabins, it's got orchards and stuff like that. Its city was never laid out to look nice, right? So I'll probably be like, there's 2 episodes this week, and, you know, I'm just going to be like designing out cities, moving things without adding new production... God, excuse me, it's the pizza. Without adding new production chains and stuff like that. So I'll probably start another series at the same time as well. Not for Anno, it'll be some other game, I haven't decided which yet. all good things have to come to an end. But when High Life comes out, then I'll be diving straight back in to 3 per week until we're done with that content. So yeah, so we'll see how people feel about that. But anyways, so what do we have next to do? I guess let's start. So I know that I ran out of wheat. I think, yeah, I had actually Docklands lined up really nicely in the lost episode, as it were. I remember now. So I was getting rid of this. I don't think I need to get rid of anything else. Just trying to remember. Another thing I know I need to do is add another ship to the iron route, because there's just simply not enough for the iron collector. There's only 1, so we'll add 2. And that should help with iron, because I remember we were running out of iron quite frequently. So yeah, maybe not even temporarily, we're going to bring in some wheat. It's just for the silos. So if we have a look at what the silos actually need, here, it's 3 tons per minute, and the guy arrives, let's say, every 20 minutes. So we'll do 3 times 20. An expedition, we'll have to do that in a second. So just, I don't know, 60, I suppose? Maybe just round it up to something else. This is pretty high, actually. Yeah, I don't know, 100. Bring in 100. Shift 7 gramophones. That'll be fine. Now, for the luxury jewelry or whatever that I got rid of, I want to bring that in straight here at this docks. Because we've loads of slots here, and we keep storing all this excess stuff. Now, you got to be weary about adding too much to these gramophone levels and stuff like that. But like I showed earlier in the production tab, we're overproducing quite a lot of things here. So it's totally fine. Not on this island, but general, globally, so that I can definitely afford it. But what we'll need to do is just find jewelry again. And what I plan on doing is adding it to multiple things. Now, I'll probably end up making jewelry myself at some point. But it obviously eats into my gold, which we use for a lot of the trades. So largely what I'm just going to do here is stack in some steam carriages, stack in some gramophones, and other things that are like quite... that we produce quite a lot of. So let's just list this as, I don't know, like 20. Let's list this as maybe 40. Let's list this as 40 as well. So that should be 100. That should be enough, I think. But I could check against it just to make sure. It's so funny that I actually have such a huge amount of penny farthings, because I thought I remember looking and seeing that I wasn't making enough. Yeah, we're not making enough. Maybe that's just for... That might be the case of Crown Farms, actually. Anyway, let's jump ahead to the expedition. A grisly encounter, bear attack. The party ponder this very real possibility as threatening grunts stop them dead amongst the firs. 50 yards ahead, a huge specimen lurches up on 2 legs like a totem, standing between them and the escape. More grunting echoes nearby. The party stays silent, awaiting guidance. Use hunting knowledge to get the better of the bears. 100% bonus chance. Trust in the expert hunters never feels misplaced, even when they recommend the party break into passionate song. For singing the shanty cheerily brings the crew together, whilst also dispersing the wary bears into the forest. See you later. Alright, cool.
More than ready.
So now it's just going to be a matter of seeing, like, what are we producing too much of, too little of. Let's figure everything out. Generally speaking, it seems like everything's okay. It looks like we're short on potatoes. Now, do we have potatoes coming in? That's part of one of the dishes. No, we do not. So again, that's another nice little Docklands one. The things for the recipes, I think, is a good idea to bring in this way, because they're always just like little odds and ends that I don't really produce anywhere else. And if we could just get rid of something basic, like even like the extra clay we produce, for instance, that could probably be good to offset it. So let's do that. And potato, what was it? It was 1 ton per minute. So I don't know. You only need about 25. Really not that much. And how is our little clay pits? They're all doing their thing down there. Cool. So that sorts out potatoes. I won't spend too long on this screen, but just want to have a quick overview of anything that might seem a little bit off. Let's just turn on all islands, I guess. Specifically when it comes to consumer goods. So we're a little short on illuminated manuscripts, it seems. Like, tiniest bit. Huh, I never noticed that. I was running out before. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Everything seems good. Alright, sleep parkas are a little bit low. for the Arctic. Sleeping bags are a tiny bit low as well. Tortillas aren't actually producing anything right now. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. This is like a bug.
Ship constructed.
Check this out. This ship
Cargo stations.
won't ever move. I found that one again with the lost episode. The reason they've run out of tortillas, or the tortilla factories aren't doing anything, is because meat and corn isn't getting delivered. The reason it's not getting delivered? Just a bug. It was getting delivered, it was fine. But this ship got confused, and it's never going to load or stop unloading or whatever.
On our way.
So just moving it and putting it back on will fix it. But that's a huge problem, isn't it? And I remember double checking this, thinking like, oh, did I put it on a wait to load or anything like that? No, it's told to discard what it's already holding, but that's it. So it's actually quite a busy ship, so that ship stopping is a bit of an issue. But hopefully now it'll just do its thing and get going again, and it should be okay. But yeah, just a weird one. I remember thinking like, what the hell was going on? And then I noticed that issue. Same thing here. I don't remember the workforce running out here before. But what I'm going to do, which is a bit counterintuitive, is just downgrade some of the obreros we have. In fact, all obreros, because we don't need them. We don't need them. And then I think yeah, basically like that. And that should fix it. Should have enough workforce then. Cool. We can have a look at our little orchards now. We actually never really seen them in full bloom.
Stand aside, boss. Don't get dirt on your fancy shoes.
So this is the Camphor Wax Trees. Gotta be honest, they don't look too good. You know, I think it's because orchards don't grow grass below the trees, because it looks really weird the way the trees just stick out there. It's the same with all the orchards. It's the same with woodcutters and everything back in the old world. So maybe it's just some sort of limitation or whatever, the way they've coded it, that they just don't have grass in the area that's been covered.
These days are too lazy.
Yeah, same with these. These don't look nearly as bad because the tree trunks are a lot thinner. And they have stuff at the bottom of the trees to kind of mask everything. So that's our citrus, is it?
Here.
So we're maxed out on citrus, apparently. Why would that be? That's the fine dining ship. Let's add another ship to this. Because those ships are both full, aren't they? Actually, they're in this session. One of them's about to pick up stuff right now. Just picked up that camphor wax. Okay. Hopefully that will fix things a little bit as well. Right, let's hop back to the old world. So something I was planning on doing... Oh, I talked about it, didn't I, at the beginning? God, my mind's all over the place. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I talked about... I can't really get rid of Gasparov, so he's just going to have to stay there, and I'll just constantly protect Benty. But we do have a quest to do. So, Belle Epoque, the Marmalade Review. Among the services provided by the hotel is a course in the Last Dancing Fad review performance. Naturally, the tourist attended and has taken an immense liking to the concept, so much so that she has naturally decided to put on a review of her own with a hedonistic culinary theme. The first step of a review, of Anno review, I don't know what that word means. I'm just saying review, hopefully I'm saying it right, is to hire dancers, of course, a task which she readily entrusts with you.
It's a rare kind of individual.
Insisting that you keep an eye out for dancers with distinct personalities and a sense of style and color. So, we have to find 3 different things. A crimson-sashed dancer near a hotel. We also have to find a purple-garbed dancer near the tourist mooring and a yellow-clad dancer near the Iron Tower. So we can see these girls quite clearly jamming it out to the music there. They're loving it.
Vine, lounging in the sun, the face of an angel. That sense of bacchic bliss will do wonders.
Nice. Next we'll look for someone at the Iron Tower, a yellow-clad dancer. A yellow-clad dancer. There's people in the fountain, is it them? Oh yeah, it looks like it's them.
A perfect compliment.
That was the
for
yellow
a
one, was it? Oh right, couldn't see the color.
Golden lemon, sweet of temper, zesty and dazzling under the right light.
Oh, crimson dancer near the hotel. I guess I moved the hotel, but there she is. Oh, she stands out very... Actually, let's have a look at her. just standing amongst the bushes. It's like there used to be a hotel here, I swear. That's a bit weird, just one girl and like 10 dudes taking photos of her. Alright, let's grab her.
What a lovely ensemble. A colorful, bright, sweet, exotic marmalade of sorts. Yes, that fits nicely. The Marmalade Review.
It is review.
You have the audience on toast.
Okay, so I actually didn't have a look and zoom in on this area yet, did I? And show what's going on. Same with here, I must have gotten distracted. So, in this little town hall / restaurant area, we have a cafe serving eclair, which reduces...
Won't do. We need something far grander, worthy of the Marmalade Review. A place for hundreds, thousands.
Providing eclair, which reduces chocolate and coffee by 10 and 15%, and also sausages, which works out actually pretty well here, considering that it bleeds over into the workers somewhat. So that's quite nice. Don't know how the workers really get up here. We've cordoned it off, but there you go. And then outside the back of it, basically, just have a bunch of yellow canopies, again, to try and match the canopies that were inside. Some extra bar tables, bar tables are like one of my favorite ornaments. They really do just fill out the place, and it actually comes with the amusement pack. So it doesn't really seem like it fits like an amusement park, but it seems to definitely fit the City Lights pack much better. And so at least for me, I use that one quite a lot to fill out crowds and stuff around different restaurants. So I'm really happy with the look of this place as well. Of course, they have their bus stop then outside the cafe. And I decided with this one to feed the road in. Don't need to, but I just think it looks better that way. So quite happy with that. And then just a little kind of garden with a statue in the middle and some places for people to sit and look out. I think it looks quite nice. And then as we come down to the main forum, as it were, we've got the Variety Theater here cordoned off. I actually switched it up from the time-lapse. These buildings were off on their own with a road going between them, but I decided just to add them on and extend them. This actually means that it's no longer symmetrical. It used to be like this ending here would end here, you know? But now I've extended this one, so it's not symmetrical anymore, but that's actually, I don't know, I think it's better. It's hard for me to decipher. But then at the back of the Variety Theater, we have a photography nook, of course, for people to come out, maybe take a photo with someone or have a portrait painted or something like that. And then a kind of a pavilion for people to sit and wait. And yeah, that's basically it for the Variety Theater. Fairly basic. So this place is kind of complicated. I'll try and go over it fairly quick. First off, we have double restaurants, right? So we've got a bar and a cafe again, which is actually making an eclair. I'll probably change that, or maybe I could even change what it is at some point, because they're basically doing the same thing and overlapping the same area. Yeah, so I'll definitely change that at some point. I'll look into what recipes will suit us better later. So here we have the Black Muscovy again. So this one is going to be the Glog, hopefully when we do it. This one could probably stay as Black Muscovy then. And that's still reducing chocolate, schnapps, and champagne. So actually pretty good, right? Champagne and chocolate's going to be affecting the investors, and then the little bit of schnapps, I suppose, is going to be affecting these guys, which is nice. But again, we could look through different recipes. So let's do the thing.
It's beastly, Admiral.
Nannock's Way. The route to the Inuit settlement is a 2-day trek by foot across exposed ice flats. A small expedition party set off, leaving the rest at sea to await their return. Although the going is tough, it's not that which preoccupies the crew. As night falls, they're sure that something's be following them. Stop for the night and keep watch, or continue to walk despite being cold and exhausted. Well, that doesn't sound good. Let's try this one. Your sharp-eared watchman keeps vigil. In the small dark of the Arctic summer, he catches the scratch of a bear's unretractable claws on ice. It is trying to approach discreetly, but the watchman is ready. At the sound of his gun, the rest wake with a jolt, only to find a big dead bear at his feet. They celebrate their trophy, and are soon back en route. I feel a little bit bad, but alright. Off we go. So, basically out here then, we've got just a ton of stuff. Basically, there is a 2-grid layer all the way around it, and a 3-grid layer on one side. And on that 3-grid layer, we have... Well, first off, let me back up. We've got the Iron Schlong. And as a monument, it's quite interesting because there's actually restaurants on this side, dining tables on this side, and then on this side, there's just kind of like crowds and stuff. And this one's the one that's most bare. So it's symmetrical, but it's actually not evenly populated and evenly distributed, if you know what I mean. So I tried to build the ornaments off of that. And then have so we have like musical performances, some fish sandwiches, a photography nook, some places to sit and chill. Obviously at nighttime the lights come on, we've got fountains, a bus stop, and all of that there. And then souvenirs on your kind of way in. in the kind of more grand entrance here, as well as another kind of little band playing on that side, and again another fountain on this side. But to break it up, I used a different fountain. I've used the Endless Skies Memorial, which is to signify the high life. And then we've got another bus stop here, which is covering both the hotels and the tower. Ice cream stands with their representative canopies and colors associating with that. Then we have, to complement the restaurants, we have a pizzeria. I thought about turning it to face in, but I think it looks better the way it's facing now, just because you have the back door on it. When it was facing out, it seemed a bit weird. And then with lots of bar tables and places to sit and eat. I've gone for literally a table that is the exact one that comes with this monument. And then multiple family tables, a little thing that says the tourist season lamppost, and then Anno tours as you come in. Is going to guide you in here, and we've got like the Iron Tower kiosk and some, again, another photography nook and things like that. I'll get to that in a second. So just outside the restaurant, actually, you know what, this might be slightly out of place here, thinking about it, the tours, because it's outside the restaurant. I'll think about it. But yeah, so lots of little trees dotted around as well, some extra canopies for sitting, 2 Iron Tower kiosks, Iron Schlong kiosks for on your way in. Lots of more canopies, again, just for places to sit. Remember, it's like these restaurants are sort of feeding this entire area. That's kind of how I think about it. We've got a merry-go-round. This is kind of more the kids section. They have balloons, a portrait painter, but it's not for portraits. It's like a, it's for kids to get their portrait done, I think. I think it's different than the, yeah, it's not the photography nook. It's the portrait painter. I've been calling that one the portrait painter. My bad. Anyway, then we have the actual merry-go-round for kids to come hang out. That's part of the Christmas pack. Then we've got a drinks shack, again, serving people here, more canopies, and then a beverages stand where you can actually see a few guys walking out with like little trays in their hand. My very first job ever was actually serving snow cones at Disney on Ice, doing that very job. And that's basically it. So I tried to just theme everything that was around it, kind of tried to complement, you know, the 4 corners with what's there. And then, of course, we are now wrapped around with 4 hotels and a restaurant off to the side here.
Full course.
Serving Archduke's schnitzel, and that schnitzel is of course reducing bread, fish, and chocolate consumption. Again, hitting a bit of everything, so it kind of makes sense. Probably would make a bit more sense to affect engineers more, thinking about it, but we'll change. Again, I'll change the kind of recipes a bit later. So yes, that was quite. I don't think I stopped speaking there for whatever 5 minutes straight, but that's the full design and layout, as it were. Now, I had said that when these guys get back to full strength, we'll upgrade them.
Your people are rioting.
So what, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8, 16, 17, 18, 19. Let's just do 20, 30, and 40. I actually did calculate it to be 39, so I guess I'll keep it at 39. So I'm pretty sure I can handle all this. Obviously this thing is taking a bit of a hit. That's alright. Just lower that back down. And we can obviously populate with more, what's it called, engineer households later in the future. But doing that, if we were to go over the consumer goods right now, really quickly, all islands, consumer goods, Bosch, let's find, there we go. Yeah, so steam carriage is totally laughable. Same with gramophone, same with chocolate. Cigars, quite tight now, 8 tons to 7 tons production. Given the little bit of travel time that's involved, maybe that accounts for that little extra piece. Champagne is brilliant. Obviously, we're specializing in it, so that's fine. Jewelry is obviously low, but we bring some in through Docklands, don't forget. The souvenirs almost seems impossible. Lemonade's good, shampoo's good, jam is great, light bulbs excellent, coffee's even fine, pocket watches, penny farthings. That's the one we have to have a look at. Now, I think if I turn off Crown Farms, that becomes okay, so that's fine. Glasses, fur coats, rum now. Ooh, look at that. Rum is actually not so happy anymore. But that's okay, I think. We do produce a lot of rum back on Cape Trelawney in Crown Farms. Oh, I've turned it off. Yeah, that's probably a big part of it, actually. We produce 150 with Crown Farms on. So that's good. Yeah, so there you go. I think all the investors are fine. It's actually, I mean, this is way late in the series. I'm sure most people know this. But it's a good way of thinking about how you can expand. It's just looking at your consumer goods. And if a lot of them are already high, well, then you know it's like, oh, all I have to do to get these extra houses is just build, you know, one extra whatever. rather than worry about rethinking all your routes and everything, you know what I mean? So everything should be fine with that big expansion. So we just got about 80 influence back. It should have been 78 influence, I think, we just gained, because I upgraded 39 houses, right? So yeah. So there you go. I mean, I don't imagine I'm going to need more than that in terms of investors, and the rest will all be engineers, and I'm going to stack them out this way, like I said, in a future episode. So based on that, I guess we can have a look at like why there's fluctuations, what's going on. Probably just take a little bit of a... Sorry, just fixing that. I just pressed the toggle ruin button. I guess sit back, be a bit more relaxed now, just kind of soak in the atmosphere of the game, and also then just look at like, okay, well, what's going wrong? You know, we're growing investors right now. That's to be expected. Artisans are growing, so that's kind of interesting. It's like, why would they grow? Honored. And is it something to do with Cape Trelawney? Which it might be. Actually, hang on one second. This still hasn't...
There must be input for output.
Cargo stations.
Where's your meat and corn? Ah, it's on the ship now. Okay. Bit skeptical about that. I just hope that that route's okay. It should be. It was okay for so long. And you can see we've actually got a big storage of tortillas. Okay, anyway. I digress. So we're going to have a look at Cape Trelawney, Crown Farms, which can still be a big overhaul project. Forgot, actually, we've got a bunch of investors out here. So, artisans seem a bit low out here. Yeah. You're low on soap. You're low on fur coats. Do we have any routes that take this stuff out here? Fur coats. Doesn't seem to be the case. So let's check our Cape to the Old World routes, right? We've got 2 routes. Let's check them. So 3 ships are bringing the raw materials out and sending them to Lusk. And then literally dumping them if they can't unload them. Which seems a little excessive, but alright. I actually remember changing this. This needs to change. We don't need cement. We actually have enough on Lusk already. Instead, it'd be better to load up with zinc again, because zinc is actually low in the old world, but it's fine everywhere else. Like copper is fine, for instance. So I'm going to pause all these, and then see if we can track any of them. So that ship's right here. So that one's actually good to go. The next one over is the one that's right next to it, of course. That tends to be the way those things go. Let that one play as well. And then this one, I'm pressing Control-click, by the way, to find the ship. Let's just toss that overboard, and now that's fine as well. So the slot isn't blocked anymore. So that's all good. Pretty happy with that. Right, so back we go.
All hands at the ready. Do not let us be stricken.
A parasitic infestation. These parasites must have come from the marsh goo. All that waist-high wading. I mean, we're supposed to be in the Arctic here. Now they nestle deep in your crew who, at risk of harm from their own madcap cures, really need professional help. Bathe them in alcohol. Consumes 1 rum. Guaranteed success. Oh, there you go. A delectable disinfectant. The suffering take immense pleasure scouring themselves in a whacking great tub of the stuff. Indeed, so diverting is this new form of alcohol absorption that even those without parasites take turns. Tasty. Bathe yourself in rum. Reminds me of my college days. Am I right? One of the first drinks I guess I ever threw up on, as I'm sure everyone has at some point, I'm guessing, was I was drinking a jug of Malibu. Not a classy out of the bottle guy. No, I filled a milk jug with it, and I was at a festival. I was at Oxygen, a music festival in Ireland. And I don't know, I think I was 17, and I was just drinking straight out of the jug, and I actually don't think I threw up from it. I think I just passed out, which is probably even worse. To be honest, completely passed out. Was carried back to a tent. Woke up a few hours later. I missed out on Lily Allen. That's where I was at the time, and yeah, just woke back up in the tent on my own. Like no recollection. It's the first time I ever blacked out. That's what it is. I had no recollection how I got there, who brought me back, or what happened. And people told me like, "Oh, you just like sat down in the middle of the crowd." And,
the strike has ended.
People just picked you up to bring you away. Anyway, since then, the smell of rum. Actually, I do still like some rum, but Malibu in particular, which is only about 20%. It's quite a light rum comparatively speaking. Turns my stomach because it just can't handle. It just takes me back, you know. to that time where it's like just felt gross. But it was so young. Within a few hours, I was fine. I was back at it. It was great. Anyway, a little story for you. Let's see how we're doing now. That little canopy stands out like a sore thumb, by the way. Anyway, so soap isn't quite being met here yet. So let's see why that is. Soap, just not producing enough, quite literally. Okay, literally. Let's see if we can fix that. Got the workforce for it. Shouldn't be a problem. So we're making tallow over there. I'm not seeing the soap factories. Oh, it's there. Just the one.
Hold the bottle.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Makes it every 30 seconds, does it? Oh, well let's just add it to a power network and then it'll be fine. So sausages and stuff is over there, so we'll just move it. This is all kind of temporary until I reorganize some parts of the factory, I guess. But yeah, these can all be powered, so you might as well throw them in there. Actually, can these be powered? No, these can't, so that's pointless. They already have the bright harvest. I was gonna say, like, it seemed a bit weird to triple up on that stuff. So let's move them back. But these can. The tallow factory. So pigs is now overconsumed because of the extra tallow. I'm just gonna pause one of those. So that's 11 to 11 right now. Stands to reason that we should get another one. That's the wrong button. There we go. Okay, that's fixed. And then soap. Soap is overproducing now. Simple as that. Wow, just all we had to do is give one of them power. It's crazy. Obviously, we are overproducing soap back in the old world. But I don't want to set up more routes right now. Let's see. So fur coats will be the only other thing then, it seems. So let's check it out. So fur coats should be fine here, I would have thought. Nope, apparently not. We are importing fur, but not the fur coats itself from the old world. Let's see, artisans. So we've got 3 of them right there. Are they powered?
Finishing touches.
And they have the costume designer here substituting the workforce. Yeah. Alright, well, in a future episode, we're going to be back here and building this place up even further, because we technically did not finish the quest line here, which is to build the World's Fair. Which, to be honest, we could probably do. Could we just start that? Might as well start that now. Why not? We have the amount of investors she wanted. Investors, World's Fair. Need 160 steel beams. Alright, let's just load up on steel. Actually, again, another one of those things I did between episodes. So I set up a route just delivering mass amounts of steel to that place in particular. It wasn't actually for the, it was for the Docklands rework. But anyway, let's just find it now. Crown Farms, off you go. Is this producing any more ships? No. Okay. So, how much is another Great Eastern? It's 10 influence. 18 minutes. I suppose we can make one now. We have 125 influence. It'd be fun to have a second one, right? I like having just one. I'm trying to think what route I could have, a specialized route that does a lot of stuff maybe actually with it. But it's not as efficient as just having 2 cargo ships. That's what I was thinking. Even 3 cargo ships. You get 2 extra slots, right? You have 8 slots versus 6. But you're paying 7 more influence for it. It doesn't work out very well. It's not a very good deal. I like it for the expeditions we're doing. I don't know. You guys will have to make a case for me. If you want me to make another one, I'll make one. And if we ever really need the influence back, I can always get rid of it. But hey, we're up to 69,000. Loving it. So yeah, we want to go all the way up to 75. And to do that, we're going to slam down basically all those engineer households that we don't quite have right now. That we got rid of. And the interesting thing then will be to see, like, well, can we cope with the extra demand on coffee, right? We're up to 48 tons per minute produced, consuming 42. So we can still afford 6 more tons of it. What else gets used by engineers? It's been a while. The light bulbs, yeah, I just had a look at that. Light bulbs and glasses are fine. I think it might be fur coats and sewing machines that we struggle with, or I struggle with. Just turn on Lusk for a minute, keep it to the old world. And then if we scroll down, sewing machines is actually totally fine. Well, that goes to the new world. And I believe it goes to Crown Farms as well, so I suppose we should just treat it as everything. So sewing machines is actually fine as well. Fur coats is allegedly fine. Glasses. It's just the penny farthings that seem to be pretty bad. So let's one more time go back to Crown Farms, and we'll just have a look at what the situation there is with penny. So at the moment, we have 0 bicycle factories on the island. And if we look at, we're not delivering any either. So I've just literally said no. They're not getting any, have I?
Visiting is derivative.
Apparently so. Alright, we seem to be able to make some here, just a slight amount. You obviously need to deliver caoutchouc, but we could import that through Docklands. Going to need steel, which we're waiting on bringing in. The ship will be here soon though, but yeah, so let's queue up bringing in caoutchouc. What do we have too much of here? Champagne, rum, obviously. Maybe we could add rum to that. It seems like rum is just maxed out almost all the time. And we're just filling, we're basically just, it's such a lazy implementation of this, but it's like, yeah, just just throw all rum out there to get every single ore we can. That's basically what I did with that. So caoutchouc, yeah, what can we reliably trade for it? Maybe this? Let's see how much that goes for. Champagne? Oh, right, nice, pretty good. 1-to-5 ratio. So, I don't know, 200 or something? Is that how much we'd need? Probably even less. I guess I could work it out. So this is consumed every 15 seconds. So 4 tons per minute. So 80 every Docklands. So about 100. Probably even just to be even more conservative, 120. That's just with having 1 though. With 2 of those factories, it might be more. But considering 1 is made every 15 seconds. If I have a look at the consumption rate. Penny farthings, they need 6, so we will need 2 buildings. Yeah, so it's going to be more in line with what I had at first, about 200, 240 maybe. Let's go 220. Still should be more than we need. All right, anyways.
Pressing engagement.
Calico's Rogue's Snare, a merchant ship. A helpless merchant brig is being pillaged by despicable pirates. Its captain is a friend to many of your crew who are ready to die in order to save him. The pirates answer to Calico Roberts, the last terrible pirate, but the light is dim. Excuse me, it's the pizza. And they have not noticed your ship. Fire cannons at the pirate's ship. Try to board the pirate's ship. Yeah, do that one. I mean, it's a better chance anyway, but I prefer that option. Hey, a reward has been discovered. The courageous crew triumph, rushing aboard quickly, enough for it to be a surprise before blowing half the pirates to dust with their blunderbusses. The remaining pirates drop their weapons and the merchants are able to come out of hiding. A great reward is in order, they say, giving you a generous portion of the recovered loot. Gramophones and gold, I'll take it. We'll play blaring music.
Cargo boat at the ready.
Look at all this coffee. How lucky these guys are getting a delivery of 189 coffee. 239 coffee, sorry, excuse me. Again, math clearly is not my strong point. I actually have a degree in programming, I probably mentioned it before. And one of the things I did struggle with the most was, what's it called? One of the things I struggled the most with was math. And I had to get like an extra, well, I didn't have to. Well, I guess I felt I needed to get an extra tutor for physics and for math to help with computer programming, and it was awesome. And I feel like I actually got pretty good at it for a while. But I definitely am not. It doesn't come easy to me, that's for sure, math. Because I feel like some people are like... It depends, like some people are really inclined towards being good at that kind of thing. And other people are a bit more creative or... You know, I feel like the people who are the best mathematicians aren't necessarily the best storytellers. You know what I mean? It tends to be an almost spectrum of like logic to sort of more creativity or something. I like to think I'm in the middle, but I don't know. I think I lean a little bit away from math. That's all I'll tell myself, just to pretend I'm not just stupid.
Loading stations.
But anyways, let's hop back. Now, the tourists are having an issue. This is the kind of thing I've been waiting to see. You know, I know it might sound like I'm filling content or something, but I'm actually just trying to gauge what we're low on. So it looks like I know I'm producing enough of this stuff. In fact, didn't we have like 1,000 jam? How are you possibly low on that? Oh, I know why. It's because their happiness must have dipped. That's actually a point of confusion for a lot of people. I had a lot of comments about that, not in my video, my review video, where people were saying like my needs keep going down and I don't know why. And you wouldn't know why if you never saw the little happiness symbol, right? Because it only appears when it's in effect. But if I looked now, I'd be like, why, you know, shampoo, jam, what are you talking about? If we have a look consumer goods wise, we have 1,400. I didn't just deliver that. So why are they, you know, why aren't they consuming it? It's because if you don't give them their happiness for, I think they just need the first 2 categories, or at least 2 categories, to be relatively happy. I'm not 100% sure exactly what dictates it, because I run out of lemonade and souvenirs and they're fine. But I think if you don't deliver these 2, or if something happens news-wise, they can have that, like, bad happiness, and then their needs get capped. I sound like kneecap. But yeah, their needs will get capped at 80%. And that doesn't happen to any other, you know, resident in the game. It's just these guys. So I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes in. Now, that's interesting because I have set up Docklands to receive. Tobias is arriving. You know what? Just bump this up. I'm just a little afraid. I'm just going to bump it up a little bit higher than it probably needs to go. Actually, I'm going to go 40 on that one. 40 on the mall actually should be enough. I really should have actually looked at what they need. So 14. I'm going to break out the calculator for that one because it's roughly about 23 minutes. 14 times 23. 322. Oof. Now we do produce some. So it's actually... Yeah, so sorry. It's 14 minus 6 times about 25. 25 minutes-ish. It's 200. Okay. So I'm still not nearly bringing in enough. In that case... The other thing that I know I can add here, actually... I mean, I'm probably being just way too cautious. I'll just stack this up to 100. I know that I have telephones as well, actually, that seem to go for a decent amount that we're overproducing as well. This is why I say it might just be better to make these, because it's a lot of faffery. You know, the exchange rate is pretty bad, because it's 1.6, and it's expensive anyway. But it looks like telephones to jewelry is 1-to-1. So maybe the overproduction of that we can just trade off. How about that? That sounds good, right? Excuse me. So yeah, let's see. Consumer goods of telephones versus the production. So we're producing 5 and consuming 4. So the tiny bit we're only saving a very small amount. Only saving a very small amount. So it's not something that you can really give too much away of. So how much will we be producing? We're producing about 125-ish. And we can roughly give away about 25 of that. Which gives us slightly more jewelry back. So that in total is 180, 220 or something like that. Something roughly around there. Yeah, so that's kind of the amount we need. Hopefully that'll just sort it out. I know it's not very efficient. I'm being a bit lazy with it, but I'm going to be building even more engineers. So
proceed without hitch.
Oh, actually, they don't need jewelry, so it is just these guys. That might be it then. Guess we'll see. I wonder, is there any items that produce it like kind of passively, you know, through other buildings and things? Because we do get pocket watches that way. Jewelry. Bonus supply. Residences with the bank need fulfilled are provided with pocket watches and jewelry. Mr. Garrick, eh? Mr. Garrick. You son of a bitch.
Just a nibble then.
We have them in play over here. So these guys don't even consume pocket watches or jewelry. Oh, we'll just get him again then, surely, right? Let's see if we've got multiple of them somewhere. Says 2. Item source. Item location. One's in a town hall. He's in the other town hall. Well, he affects engineers and investors. But the engineers don't consume pocket watches. So I'm going to say, see you later. Provides need of champagne. Max residence 10%. Chance of illness. Bonus residence. Swap you out. Let's get your boy Garrick in there. I'll just move a couple houses.
Gratitude.
Alright, there you go, affecting all that. And then this one could be one of those gold guys I just got rid of. It was this guy, right? 10%. So that's max residence, get 10% increase. Happiness plus 10. Chance of illness is reduced, and the bonus residence is plus 1 when you have a market, bread, sewing machines, university glasses, light bulbs, champagne, steam carriages, and chocolate. So they should be fine with all that. Okay. So how does that help us for these things? That's 12 now. It was 14. That's pretty good. Shaved 2 tons off. So let me just break out the old calculator one more time. So let's just have a look. If we go Lusk Swords, turn it all on, we can see then that jewelry is now 6. So we're only over-consuming by 6 tons per minute. The guy comes roughly every 20 minutes. That's 120. So let's just buff that even a little bit. So we can say maybe 140. Which means, yeah, we're doing great. So I'll leave the telephone one. That's fine. These ones are the ones I'm uncertain of because I didn't actually add anything up. So that's 30. So we need to add about 100. So this could be about 30. This could be 30. And this could be 30. And there you go. There's your 120. Yeah? Something like that? We'll find out. You got to feel it out sometimes. All right. Pretty happy with that. Let's brighten the day up. Okay. Let's have a little zoom in. See what are we getting in that research institute right now? I feel like some items that I want to queue up are the snowflake items. So add that to the queue. Add that to the queue. Already have the white peacock. I don't have the white tiger or the albino alligator. And then other things I wanted to see in the museum. What are we short of for the different like the Jurassic thing? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're just short this thing, it seems, the Mosasaurus fossil. So yeah, let's try and get that as well. Mosasaurus fossil. I'd be interested to see what that gives us, Jurassic. I'll just swap that around to there. Alright, expedition, maybe it'll be done after this.
We're under the weather.
Message in a bottle. Castaway requests your help, but where could they be? Shark baiting is a common distraction for your sailors, but their latest catch provided much more entertainment than expected. In its belly was a bottle, and in the bottle were 3 sheets of paper, each a copy of the same message in different languages. Piecing together the documents to make up for their weathered content, the crew can make out a call for help and a latitude, but nothing more. Examine the entrails for clues, or map the islands matching the partial coordinates. There you go. Bonus success chance 125%. Let's go. That'd be crazy if you found that kind of message. The search defines a specific area. Many islands match the latitude, but far fewer could be mapped on an actual shipping route. By deducing where the castaway ship might have gone, your navigators identify a handful of islands which could host the castaways. After 2 weeks of smooth sailing, your ship reaches the area, a necklace of islands linked by strands of deadly coral reef. It's a beautiful way to describe the islands. So navigate closer to them and the reefs. Yeah, let's go. Hopefully we don't crash. We got something. We found a happy homesteader. Your ship avoids the deadly reefs and finds the castaways. The vessel groans as it swims through the clear waters. The deepest corals reflecting its shadow as it narrowly avoids them. It takes a short while to find the castaways, entrenched among the dunes of a secluded beach. Sprouting from it with squeals of joy and disbelief, their captain offers his unalienable loyalty, and your crew gladly welcomes the newcomers. Our ship is probably full now, right? Yep. Come on, that's gotta be it. Take me home, Daddy. By the way, in this empty spot here, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm thinking of placing the amusement park here, because it would be next to the hotels, and also next to the kind of workers. I think it's a kind of nice middle ground between the two. Of course, with the amusement pack, this one, we have big ornaments, like the big roller coaster thing, and we've got like the Ferris wheel, tin can shooting, and different shooting games and stuff like that. So that should be fun to add in and to kind of dress that up. Hopefully it looks good. I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to end the episode. I'm kind of waiting for that thing to get back so we can check the grog recipe. But actually, while I'm waiting, I do need to change one of these, don't I? We have 2 eclairs. And it seems a bit overkill to have 2. So what else could we go with? Palmier biscuit? Biscuit. The venison tartare. That's if we bring in the caribou meat and we use the citrus we have and grapes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go with that one. For sure. Venison tartare. Let's roll.
Make a reservation, Jemima. We're dining out tonight.
Actually, you can go with the eclair. Sorry. And you can go with the venison tartare. So we'll bring in caribou through the docklands, like we said before. Maybe we could shift. I know we're making extra chocolate. We have a lot of penny farthings here stacking up. Maybe we could throw some of them in. Why not? Because we don't need that many. We're only going to be serving it in one place. So it's something like really 30 covers you. So yeah, there you go. Very small amount. But it makes us not have to have a whole trade route for it. And let's just have a look at the
cellar alone is worth millions.
Oh my god, yeah, I totally forgot about the quest to do for her. I was just going to check this as well. What did we need here? We needed gas. So yeah. That is a pretty good one, but it's only going to really affect your engineers and your investors, which I guess is the hardest things to provide for. Pretty good though. Gas is quite difficult, so I don't really think the trade-off is worth it. Anyway, this quest line has asked me to provide and build a variety theater near the public mooring. Now, I'll do it, but I'm obviously going to be deleting that. I wonder, does it if I just popped it here? Let's just extend a road out this way. And then if I popped it just somewhere like there. Build a nightlife district near your tourist harbor with a variety theater. So that didn't work. That works. Build a nightlife district near your tourist harbor with a hotel. I guess we'll do that in the next episode. It's kind of interesting. I mean, people did say, why don't you build hotels down here? It's I think I talked about it in the last episode, but they don't really fit that well, unfortunately. Their backs will be like kind of really hemmed in. You could probably start doing it around here, but obviously the coast is just too tight the further along we go. It's kind of cool to have a nightlife coastal district. It reminds me of Port Banús quite literally. All right, let's get rid of that. Yeah, so I think I'm going to have to call it there. Unfortunately, this ship has not returned yet, but when it's back in the next episode, we should have the glog recipe, and then we can get even more debuffs or whatever to the entire area. I say debuffs, it really is a buff. I'm just thinking of it as from the production's point of view, it's a debuff. Alright, so that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Really do appreciate all the feedback, and sorry again about missing the previous episode. Hopefully this one was worth it. I feel like it was a lot better than what I did. But yeah, so I look forward to the next one where we're going to be going, basically trying to tighten up our production chains just a little bit more, and then also just pushing that population a few more thousand higher. So again, more engineer households. I'll do that in between episodes. You know, I'll probably just upgrade, drag them over as I normally do, and fill out some gaps, and then lay out this city. So yeah. Alright, thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching, and remember, if you want to support this series directly, you can click the join button to become a channel member. Doing so will get your name in the credits, as well as loyalty badges and emotes to use in the comments. If you don't see the join button, it means the video has been copyright claimed, but you can still join from the channel page on desktop. You can also link your account to our Discord to get a special role on there that will give you access to the Senate House and a few other perks.